All right, so trends that happen in the economy, both on the international, globally level or country level, those that would also be considered global because it's a bigger area. And our little cities and our counties and stuff, they impact each other. I wouldn't wait for another to buy a house because you can't guarantee that's going to happen. And you want to have one before then, probably. All right. So you need to be keeping track of that kind of stuff. Those are going to matter. Okay. All right. So then we are going on to the new topic, and it's business cycles. Did I spell that right? Cycles is a weird word that sometimes it doesn't look right. Okay. And this is what's going on in the economy. This is what's going on in the economy. Okay. One way to track how well the economy is doing is to track total dollars spent for finished goods and services, okay, in a given year. This is called gross domestic product. And they abbreviate it GDP, okay? Gross domestic product. They abbreviate it GDP. So if you start paying attention to some of the talk within the financial world, they'll say GDP. That means gross domestic product. Okay. So how much money are people paying to get their products and their services? Okay. Now, looking at GDP and how it is changing over time allows us to see how strong the economy is. Okay. Now open your book. Go get our book. We're going to add a visual. Remember, the link to the book is at the bottom of every week's agenda now, so you don't have to go searching for it. You're going to want to open it in Candy. Okay. And you need to go to the book, page 143. So let me see if I can find it. Let me see what PDF page it is. Book, page 143. Here's our chapter 8 story. Here's a 141, 142, 143. This visual here. So we're going to take a screenshot of this. We need this. I have to use my other screenshot tool. You guys use your Control Shift and the little picture, the little button above the 6. But I am not on a Chromebook, so I can't use that feature. I have to use my other one. And I'm going to paste it in here. And then I'm going to make it smaller because I don't need that much space used up by it. I just need to have it there. Okay, so if we look at this for a minute, we see things happening over time, right? Now notice this is in billions of current dollars. That means in 1975 dollars. Those 1975 dollars translated to 2005 dollars in billions. So when I look at this, 1,000 billions is a million, a trillion. So this is saying 1,637,700,000 trillion, billion, million. So this is huge. This is a huge number. But if you notice, there's a big difference between the 1975 number and the 2005 number, right? There's a large change, a large difference. Yes? What was the PDF page number? Let me go look. Maybe this one? No. Where's the PDF still open? PDF page 162. Okay. So notice there's a big gap between 1975 and 2005, right? What do you notice about the gap as you get farther along in the years? What are we seeing is happening as we get farther along? How much gap is there in 1993 to 2005? Is it as big a gap? No. So the gap is starting to close. There isn't as much drastic change. It's getting smaller. Now, 2005 was when they did the book. So what they did is that they switched directions. So it's not that in 2006 we're now losing money. We're not. It's that you have to, they translated the 2006 back into the 2005. So you're trading sections, but that's only 13, high 12 to low 13, still a small gap. Okay. So, but then if you start noticing it's getting bigger again, in 2011, we're talking about a 2000 gap. So it started to get stronger again. So as that gap got smaller, that is when issues started. As it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, that's when the economy is getting a little weaker. The economy is really strong in 1975, and then we had some weakness in a couple different spots. Okay, so let me go back to my normal for this. Okay, so everybody should have that copied over, and we're back to writing. And I have to put my bullet back on because I have to shift. No. Oh, wait. There I gotta go. Not that one. This one. But I want a tab. Oh no. I want that arrow one. I want this one. But I want you to be back over here so I can go put tab and get the next one. I might have to do it here and then move the picture. Probably, huh? Like that. So I'm going to shift my picture. The way I can shift my picture is if I switch to the middle one, it'll let me move my picture around. Ooh, too high. And I'm going to move this little bullet down here. Okay, so we have to look at that GDP. We have to notice that things are changing, things are happening. Oh, got it? The middle one is the wraparound, so you can slide it around. Okay. All the technology things that we're teaching each other, right? Okay, so you look at that. When GDP is higher from one year to the next, the economy is growing because businesses and individuals are selling more goods and services. And in general, people are earning higher incomes. Because if the companies are making money, they're going to give raises. Okay, we'll put the dime there. Okay, that makes sense. GDP high. People have spent a lot of money. Businesses and individuals who have businesses are earning so that they're willing to pass it on to their employees. People would be earning more money. Okay. When GDP is lower from one year to the next, the economy is shrinking because fewer goods and services are being sold. People aren't spending their money because something's going on. Okay. All right. So GDP from one year to the next higher. So let's go look at this table again and talk about that. They are talking in the one column. Do not care about the 2005 column. It's not back and forth from 2005. It's up and down. So if I look from 1975 to 1976, it went up. Yes? 76, 77, up, 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 up. Right? Now, did we have any that dipped down really? No, but we had some that didn't have as big of an up. That would also be the same thing. There's only a small up, not a big up, then it's also shrinking. It's also not as healthy. Okay. So getting smaller. Oh, but look in 2009. From 2008 to 2009, it dropped. The economy shrank. That's when we knew we had a recession. If we probably looked at one of these GDP things from way back from the 1920s and stuff, we would see that one too. So we were going good. Everything felt good. Yay. And then boom, 2009. All right. And we see the drop. And we know no, we're looking in the 1970, in the current dollars column, if from one year to the next it drops. Okay. Not sideways, up and down. Okay. So it doesn't matter which column you're looking at, it'll still do the same thing. If it drops from one year to the next, going up and down on the list, that's when there was a recession, and that happened in 2009. See, from 2008 to 2009, that happened. Up until then, we were sitting pretty. We were doing good. We hadn't had any major stuff that had happened except for back, right? There was a little bit of recession-y feel because there was a very small change. Look, between 1992 and 1993, small change. So if there's only a small change, that's when they, when it's starting to slow and they get a little worried, but then it picked back up again. So they didn't think anything about it. And then boom, 2009, that dropped. Drop is bad. Okay. So when our gross domestic product is high, economy good, everybody's happy, people are spending money, people are earning more money because the companies have more money to give them. When the GDP from one year to the next goes down, the economy is shrinking, fewer goods and services are being sold, and in general, people are earning less because or unemployment goes up. One of the two. So either they ask the employees to take less money because, hey, we're not selling enough to afford all of you. If all of you want to take a pay cut so you can all stay, so they earn less. Or I'm sorry, we're going to have to let some of you go, unemployment. Okay. Now, COVID's a special case. You can't count that one. We're talking about in normal circumstances. Okay. So periods, no, a period of shrinking economy is called recession. Okay. Many years of recession is called depression. And that was the difference. We had 2009 that was bad, but then when you look at 2010, it was a little better. And 2011 is a little better. And if we had the whole spectrum all the way back out here to 2019, we were getting better each year. Okay. So that was a recession. It happened, it was a 1 year thing. But when it happens for many years in a row, that's depression. That was what happened in the 1920s. Okay, where they had many years in a row of going down, shrinking. Okay, so that's kind of the difference. Okay, so during recessions, or depressions, okay, there is a risk of job loss. Oops, I forgot to. Job loss. Because sellers can't afford employees. We just talked about that a second ago. Okay. The economy always goes through cycles of shrinking and growing. Okay. Okay. And we're going to go back to our book. We'll get your book again. Hopefully you didn't close it. Get out of the way. Nope, that's not my book. Close my book necessarily. Maybe. I can just look at it. Okay, what page were we before? 162? Open candy. So we're going to go look. We want this one now, business cycle. So I'm going to get a new screenshot of this picture of business cycle. Okay, we're going to add it to our note. But I'm going to be smart and make space for it to add to our note this time before I paste it and move it. This up and down, in and out trend, the business cycle. Now, if you notice, it's continuing upward even when we have these little peaks and valleys involved. So even when we look at our big GDP list and it doesn't look like there's a recession because the number didn't go down, right? We talked about going down means recession. Even though we don't have a down that year, let's scroll back up to this guy, right? So we didn't have a down like between 1981 and 1982, right? There's not a down, 3126 to 3225, 3253. There's not a down, but that's not a very big up either. Okay. So when there's not a big up, that's still considered a shrinking. All right. So it doesn't only have to be completely down. It can be a small up, which is why if you notice in total, yep, see, I got it on my screen back again. In total, we are growing, but there's these up and down movements going on, which is why you want to make sure when you're doing your investments, when we talk about investments, that you're doing multiple different kind of industries and stuff. It's called diversifying. So that you don't have one industry and all your stuff is in that industry and that industry takes a bad year. You could lose a lot of money. You don't want to do that. But that's what some people did. Like back in the, I think it was the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of people put money into tech stock, the dot-com bubble, that's what they called it. And they only had their money in tech stock. They jumped on the bandwagon and we're all, okay, we're going to put a lot of money into the tech, which was making them a lot of money because tech was going and everything was doing wonderful. And then, boom, a recession happened. It wasn't that there was a big gap in the GDP for the year. It's that, and this is how GDP works. Okay, so you have multiple different kinds of companies, right? You have your power companies and your retail companies and your top tech companies and all these different kinds of industries all blending together, right? You can have one piece of it, it's called a sector, that goes bam. The other ones didn't drop out, so they were able to hold the GDP above the negative. So the number didn't go down for the whole country for the year, but this one industry, and that's what happened. That's why between 81 and 82, it didn't go up very high. It only had a tiny bit of change upward. And that is because the tech industries took a tank during that year. Okay. Too many people jumped into the tech bandwagon. There wasn't enough. There wasn't enough customers to service them all. So some of these companies that started up and everybody thought they would be wonderful, they didn't have enough customers to spread. And so several went up. So when you're looking at that chart, if you see only a small change, there was a recession because an industry or two took a big down. The others might have only done a little up, but they balanced each other a little bit. Okay. Okay. It is important. What are we over there? Oh, it's because it's near the picture, huh? Go down. It is important to know the cycle of goods followed by the cycle of good, not goods. The cycle of good followed by the cycle of bad go back and forth and exists so you can adjust your financial plan to prepare for these cycles. And when we get into investing, we're going to be talking a little bit about how to make sure you spread your investments to various different kinds of industries, diversify, so that if one industry doesn't do so good, the other ones can hold it up. Okay. Last little bit we're going to do today. Understanding the cycle can help with basic life decisions too. So you make major changes like selling a house or changing jobs at the right time. Okay? Because you want to be watching and paying attention. You don't want to be selling your house when the market drops out, because very few people will be buying. They potentially have lost their job, right? Or they've had to take a pay cut, or, okay? And you don't want to be switching jobs when everybody else is looking for a job, because then there's too much competition. Okay, there's a lot of competition, which makes it harder for you to find a job. Okay, any questions? It kind of depends. Looking for a job is safest when it's starting the recovery. Okay. Because people so we're about ready to come out of this major shutdown, hopefully, and everybody's going to be safe. And so businesses are going to start opening, and people are going to be able to start buying again. And businesses are going to bring back some of their employees, but some of those employees have found other jobs. So they're going to be looking for new employees and stuff. So we're going to start to recovery. So you're going to be able to have more opportunities to find places. Actually, right now is the most awesome time to sell a home, because the interest rates went way down. So people that were not necessarily able to afford a home loan now have a low interest rate so they can afford a home loan. So some of them are actually buying. And they said, if you actually can sell your home right now, you're making a significant profit on it. Okay. The hard part is finding the peak. when is it the exact right time? And it is a guessing game a little bit, but you kind of watch what's happening in your neighborhood and you watch what's happening, especially when you're selling a home and stuff. Okay. So any other questions about how the gross domestic product works? But remember, we have these cycles and it's okay. There's going to be some ups, there's going to be some downs, there's going to be some times that we have to be a little more logical about how we spend our money, and sometimes when we can go ahead and we're a little more flexible, right? Okay, any questions about the notes? Okay, turn them in.